A wonderful day to everyone, despite some flies that are disturbing me a little bit at this moment. In the past, I have published a book, my first book actually, with the name General Theory of Human Stupidity, where I asserted that if there were a temple of intelligence, at the front, at the entrance of it, we would find a say asserting that there are no property rights over reality, and there are no royalties over truth. And until this moment, I totally believe this. I still feel the same way. Actually, I feel more the same way. I think that as long as we are humans and we have a point of view, we are not accessing truth or reality. We are just limited by our own point of view. So if we are at the top of the mountain, we see a lot around, but we lose detail at the base of the mountain. We lose some knowledge that an ant would have. And if we are also at the top of the mountain, we are losing the point of view of other mountains. We are losing the point of view of a global planetary vision and so on. So better not to be too concerned with our own point of view, that it will be always limited. The same way, truth will be direct, deep, complete access to reality, and we are too small for this. We don't really know what is reality. We have approaches, we have ideas, we have our mind, that's all. At the same time, we can think that, okay, we are part of humanity, and we tend to be closer to some humans than to others. We tend to sympathize perhaps more to the ones who have a similar point of view, who share the same world vision, who have similar experiences, and sometimes similar experiences because they belong in our tribe. But let's just imagine that we are actually belonging to humanity, and humanity is also a global field of consciousness and energy. If this is the case, then it becomes extremely important the way we contribute to this global field of consciousness and energy, what we introduce in it, with our mind and with our actions. Let's notice then that perhaps, if this is so, what the Taliban, that we fear so much in a way, what they are doing in me, but what I do and what I think is always affecting them also. Now let's imagine that, okay, I'm in horror because they are in a way going against women's rights, human rights. They are becoming a ferocious dictatorship. They are doing all sorts of things we Westerners consider to be barbaric. But we are also barbaric in Talibans when we are barbaric to some extent towards each other. For instance, when we accept to divide our connection with other people according to their adherence to the so-called vaccines or against the so-called vaccines, when they belong or not to our club, to our global vision, when they share our sexual perspective or when they don't share it, when they share our approach to human rights and property rights or against them, and so on. But mostly we are all human, and as long as I segregate others close to me, perhaps there is a reflection, contributing, facilitating that the Taliban or other people I don't like, they will also segregate, they will also attack others. Because if I am dividing myself against other people, perhaps just in words, perhaps insulting them over the internet, I am contributing to a global field of consciousness where there is a lot of segregation, of division. There is a lot of aggression, and this spreads. If I want to contribute to a world where perhaps there will no longer be Taliban, then I should, in my own sphere, be compassionate, be open, be humble, because I really don't know that much. I really don't understand that much. I really have a very limited and poor access to reality or truth. Let's also consider something else. My body is still an animal body, and sometimes, out of fear, I tend to limit myself to survival and survival instincts and the protection of territory and so on. This might be extremely dangerous, because sometimes I will extend this to the field of mind, my ideas, my emotions. Actually, lots of governments and companies, they know that to manipulate, to influence people, they must hunt for manipulating and influencing their emotions that will produce behavior. To do so, they know it's not so much about reasoning, it's about images, it's about sensations. So they manipulate a lot the images we have access to, the sensations we experience. Now, the trouble is that I am limited also in the kind of imagery and sensations that I have access to and that I search for. So it's better trying to be a king in my own inner space, collaborating with other people. But aside from this, well, if I behave in a way like an animal in my mind, I have a tendency to also mark my mental territory with mental urine or feces. I tend to make sure that other species that are relevant for my own survival will not invade my mind territory with their foreign ideas. They will not steal my ideas, they will not try to change them and so on. I behave in an animal way in the field of the mind. And that also is something I believe we should avoid. We should be fully conscious that we are humanity. Other people are being and behaving in us through the big energy field we belong to. And we are also acting and behaving in them through the same energy field. Let's be cautious about this. Let's bring on to this field of humanity our best contribution, our compassion, our sharing, our openness, our collaboration, our beauty, our creativity, instead of competition, war, segregation of all kinds. And this is the main idea for now. As usual, if you like it, please comment, share, subscribe the channel, and I'll be around.